Chapter 849. Viley's Japanese language was indeed very good. If anyone closed their eyes and listened to them speak, no one would be able to tell that he was actually an English citizen. Alex was also very surprised, and he shook Viley's head before he said in admiration, "Mr. Viley, your Japanese language is indeed really very impressive." Viley smiled humbly before he said, "Mr. Anderson, you are thinking too highly of me." Trump hurriedly said, "By the way, Nataria, I have already booked a room at Orem Grand Hotel for lunch today. Why don't we head over there to have a welcome meal for you and Viley now?" Nataria smiled before she said, "Thank you, Trump. I really appreciate the fact that you came all the way here with Alex to pick us up and treat us to lunch today." "It is only right for me to do so," Trump smiled awkwardly before he said, "Well, we happen to drive here today so we can go together in one car." "Okay," Nataria nodded before she said to Viley, "Son, tell your driver that we will not be taking the company car then. We will just hitch a ride in Uncle Richard's car." Viley smiled before he said, "Okay, Mom. I will call the driver and tell him to send all of our luggage to our hotel room first." "That sounds perfect." At this time, Viley politely said to Trump and Alex, "Uncle Richard, Alex, sorry but please give me a moment. I have to make a quick phone call." Trump hurriedly replied, "Oh, Viley, you are such a good child. You don't have to be so polite to your uncle." Viley smiled as he said, "It is only natural for me to be polite to my elders." After he was done speaking, Viley took out his cell phone before he walked aside to make a phone call. At this time, Trump asked Nataria, "Nataria, you arranged for a driver to drive you around in Oris Hill now that you and your son have already returned to the country?" Nataria nodded slightly before she said, "After Viley's father passed away, I have always wanted to return to Japan and settle down here. His father left us a company and Viley could not bear to see his father's hard work in his lifetime go to waste. Therefore, he took charge of the company and he began to gradually transfer all of his business over here about half a year ago." Trump asked in surprise, "Did you transfer all of your businesses and industries over to Japan first?" "Yes," Nataria replied, "I do not participate much in these things. Viley is the one taking care of it." Trump nodded lightly and he could not help but feel a little inferior at this time. Nataria and his son had already transferred all of their business over to Japan before they came back to settle down here. If they were willing to go through so much trouble just to transfer their business over to Japan, then their enterprise was probably not just any ordinary small-scale business. From this point of view, Trump felt as though Nataria's current economic and financial strength was very strong. In contrast, he could not help but feel a little embarrassed. After all, the Richard family had already gone bankrupt and he had no source of income of his own at all. He could even be described as a penniless person. The only thing that he was proud of right now was the villa at Beacon Top, but even that villa belonged to Alex. Trump could not help but feel a little depressed as he thought about this. Given his current situation, would Nataria actually look down on him? After all, most middle-aged people would have already built a career for themselves or be running their family businesses at this time. However, Trump was jobless and he had nothing to do at all. This was simply too embarrassing. When Alex saw that Trump looked a little upset, he knew that his father-in-law must be thinking that Nataria was too good for him. He probably felt that he was worthy of her because she was way out of his league. However, Alex did not say anything at all. At this time, Viley was done with his phone call and he smiled as he said, "Mom, Uncle Richard and Brother Alex, I have already called to inform the driver. We can leave now." "Okay," Alex smiled as he said, "Let's go." The four of them stepped out of the airport together. At this time, a brand new Rolls-Royce Ghost stopped in front of them and a foreigner stepped out of the car before he spoke respectfully to Viley in English, "Hello, General Manager." Viley nodded slightly. After that, the foreign driver looked at Nataria before he said, "Hello, Chairman." Nataria nodded and she smiled before she said, "Mike, please help me to deliver our luggage to Orem Grand." After that, you can ask the receptionist at the front desk to send our luggage to our rooms.